Hey everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore
coming at you. And we're so glad that you're here, and we pray that you guys are blessed by what the Lord has to share today. And we're going to be going over Act 3, Scene 11 of the Restoration play. And it's going to be a good one. And but before we begin, we want to give a huge thank you to everyone who has supported us, especially this last week. As many of you know, we ended up making a little road trip out to Kansas City and back, and so we couldn't have done it without your support. So huge thank you to all of you.
Launched us out there, man.
And so that has just been really awesome, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But also we
are support based.
Yeah, we are support based.
So if you want to.
I'm having a hard time tonight, but we are support based, so if you would like to give to us, you can. We have a PayPal link and a Cash App link below, and you can click either of those.
Man, I feel like ever since our last video, we've been just going.
We really have been just going.
And it's just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, I'm like, babe, we're just gonna have to get on, or put ourselves in front of the camera tonight. We're just gonna have to just flow.
Yep.
Tell some story or something, because if we wait until we have it like we normally do, it's going to take forever.
Yeah, honestly, I'm still journaling with
from the road trip.
From the road trip. So, but we were just like, all right, well, let's just get on and share some of what the Lord did this last week. We're going to do
our best,
and it really has just been kind of one of those pedal to the metal. I mean, I would feel like we've been drinking out of a fire hydrant, and we still haven't really had the chance to really soak in what the Lord is saying. But you know, sometimes
Lord,
that's how the
Lord. Are we on the roller coaster right now?
I know, that's what I'm wondering.
It feels like, whoa, what's going on?
But yeah, so we want to start off and...
Well, when we last left the LaVores, the Lord had smashed the bench of waiting to bits. He said, come on, let's go. The parade's getting ready to start. And so after that, I got another doc series vision, which is basically, we were walking on the beach, and I think the Lord himself had a metal detector. But then we were kind of separated into our own little areas as we're just kind of cruising along the beach, and we're just kind of looking. I knew we were looking for treasure, right? And I was like, oh, wow, this is like a treasure hunt on the beach. We're not even really kind of, we're on a mission to go to the parade. No, we're just kind of cruising along, we're like hunting for treasure in the middle of it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And so the first person to find treasure was myself. And so... The funny thing is, in this vision, I got down in the sand and I started swiping away at the sand, and I found something. I was like, whoa, I found something. But I kept trying to swipe it away, the sand, from the thing I found, and I just kept uncovering more and more and more of this thing. And I was like, what in the world? And so I grabbed the thing, I finally got to the two edges, and I knew I could it's like I got something here. And then I literally picked it up out of the sand, and I literally picked up a supercar. And I was holding it upside down over my head. I'm like, wow, this is definitely a vision. And I just set it down on the beach. It looked like an Audi R8 or a Lambo or something like that. Some sort of sleek designed thing like that. And I was like, what in the world? What is that doing up underneath there? You know what I mean? But I just saw it. You know, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna. It really kind of weirded me out. I was like, wow, I found a supercar buried in the sand. Like, what's up with that? And then the next person to find treasure in the vision was Michelle, and what she found was some flowers. I looked over. She had some flowers. You might have to jump in here in a second, give some context. But she had these flowers, and she had this look on her face like, that's nice. And here's the cool part, though. The cool part is, she was like, oh, that's cool. But I could tell she was disappointed. You know, and I was just like, oh, man, she's always disappointed with what she gets from the Lord. And I'm like, I just wish she was not disappointed so much. And so I guess she's expecting something amazing, I guess, and so she saw that there was little sand bits on him, and so she shook it a little, just nice little gentle shake, and then when she did that, it's like the petals became like glistened with oil all of a sudden, and then the sand just kind of rolled off of it, almost like marbles on a slanted table. If you tilted it, the marbles would just suddenly roll off. That's kind of what happened. And then the flowers like exploded, like they like it was almost as if they became like miniature hot air balloons. And she just was like, whoa. Like, I mean, they were huge, and we were all like amazed, even the kids. When I pulled out the supercar from the sand, we were all just like, what in the world? And then so when she did this, it was like, whoa, and we were all amazed, right? And then she shook it again, and then it shrank back down. And I was like, what in the world? And she shook it again, and then and I was like, what? She shook it, and then it shrank back down. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then the vision ended there for me, because I didn't see the kids. I was like, look, I was asking the Lord for the kids. I was like, what about the kids? And he was just like, He just kind of gave me that look like, I didn't really know what it meant, but it was like he had something in there, but he wasn't telling me what it was, and he wasn't showing me anything. And I was like, oh, okay, this is maybe the kids are going to have to seek him, and that's really what ended up happening throughout our whole trip. The kids ended up trying to seek the Lord, like, what kind of treasure do you have for me? What kind of treasure do you have for me? And I think that's what he wanted.
What's so funny about the flowers is that, I don't know, for me personally, like when I think flowers are beautiful, but I'm not really like, if somebody gives me flowers, or as Devin found out while we were dating
very quickly,
it was like, it doesn't mean much for me. Like, it's just like, I'm like, oh, thanks. And that was basically what you were seeing in this vision, was me just going like, oh, thanks. Like, okay, I have flowers. And so
you were more disappointed because you're like, oh, thanks, Lord. You're upset, but you didn't feel like you were allowed to express it because it came from the Lord, and it was a treasure you found, and it was just like, you were very conflicted. You were trying to put on a good attitude,
And so it was
but the Lord was like, I know.
Well, and it was just so funny because I'm just like, even when you got the vision, I just was just like, what, Lord, what's with the flowers? Like, why flowers? But it was just cool to have that vision. And honestly, we're still in the process of getting revelation,
exploring,
and really just hearing more from the Lord about
because this road trip that we took, that's just part of like the new direction God's taking us. We're still kind of, I don't even think we're at the parade part yet, or we are, or we saw one part of the parade, I guess, but either way. So can we move on to the next thing? So we go to our first stop on our road trip is in Chesterfield, Missouri. Okay, and we get there. What time we get there? It
was pretty late.
Pretty late. And so we wake up the next morning and we're doing our God time before we leave, and I just happen to look out the window, and then I see this burnt orange Aston Martin just going up the road all nice and slow, and I'm just going, whoa, okay, whatever. And I'm just like, we keep on going, and then I see a Rolls Royce later on coming down the road. And I'm just, because I'm propped up, in my chair, but I'm just looking out. I can just literally do this and see outside this kind of like it was next to the hotel that we were staying in. And I see a Rolls, and I'm just like, Rolls Royce. I was like, whoa. I was like, what is going on? We must be like in the rich area of St. Louis or something, because this is amazing. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I think God time was over or something. I don't know what time it was.
It was just actually, we were just getting ready in the morning. I thought we were at God time, but we didn't actually do God time until we were in the car. But we were just all just kind of getting ready and like going throughout the morning, eating breakfast. And
that's what it was, because we were chilling out, waiting and all that. I felt like it was a God time or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It had that God time vibe, but that's our life, right? And then... and then I heard this sound, okay? And I was like, I know what sound. I was like, I stood up. I was like, everyone stop talking. Right now, stop. I know what that's a seriously expensive Lamborghini exhaust. That's not I mean, that's like one of the big boys.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an Aventador or an SVJ or something. I'm like, whoa, what in the world's going on? And then I look outside, I'm going, what? Where are we? And it just kind of hits me. It dawns on me all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh, Michelle, wait. We're in Chesterfield. Don't you understand? We're in Chesterfield. I think I might have said it like 8 times, right? We're in Chesterfield. We're in Chesterfield. You know? Well, and here's the significance. You know, in all these years I've been studying supercars and all that and finding the different companies that sell them and where they are. There's many cars I have saved from this supercar company in Chesterfield, Missouri. I just haven't been there in a long time because none of my current saved cars come from Chesterfield. But I just remembered, like, oh my gosh, I was reminded, remember this car with the gold stripe on it? You're like, oh yeah, that came from Chesterfield. And the Lotus Evora GT that I was wanting to get, that came from Chesterfield, right here in Chesterfield. and I looked it up and it was like right there. I was like, Michelle, that is it right there. And then we were reminded of the vision of like me finding a supercar.
And so we were all like that morning. We're just like
blown away.
Oh my gosh, like you literally just had this vision yesterday and here we are today. Like you literally are finding these supercars.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. So we went there. And we're like, oh, we're gonna go there.
Yeah, because it was literally like right behind.
I mean, it's literally like
the
right
hotel
there.
we were at.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. So we had to go in 2 separate places. There's one on one side, and then there's another building on another side. We got to go to both of them, and I just saw the coolest stuff. Some of the coolest stuff. You may not even know what this stuff is, but they had this Bugatti Chiron Sport just in this glass box of a room. You couldn't we tried to open it up and see if I could get in there. It's like, nope, you're not getting in there.
Yeah.
And it was all plugged up and everything, because you have to plug those cars in, the battery, you have to plug them in. And I was just like, I was drooling it profusely on the inside. And then I went across the other way and they had McLarens, they had a Ferrari F40 just sitting out in the middle of the showroom, and around the corner they had a Lamborghini SVJ that was just orange everywhere. And I was like, and they literally had the Lamborghini Huracan that I would buy. I was like, if I had the money right now, I would buy this one right here. It was just sitting there. I was like, oh my God. I was in heaven. And I was like, wow, I was blown away. So we walked out of that experience just totally blown away. Yeah. Like, wow, I literally had this treasure vision, and it was crazy. Yeah. And then so we did we just take off to
we just went
Kansas City at that point.
And so we ended up going, and of course the whole point was for us to get to our bank, and so we were able to do that, and it was really awesome because the Lord really did speak over this whole road trip, and I honestly am feeling like, wow, Lord, I feel like it's more than just this portion. I feel like we've just done a portion, like we said, the stem of our road trips, and so it's really like God speaking, like, I think, treasure hunt over all of it, meaning like he has things for us and to find and to be highlighted to us, and so to just be looking for him. And
the prophetic numbers were crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was like
Every road trip we have a specific group of prophetic numbers that God always shows us. And I'm telling you, the numbers 668 and 669 were like insane.
Yeah, and so
on the way there.
And so if we think of Isaiah 66, 8, and 9.
I mean, come on. That's a really oddball burning bush number to see like 25 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, the Lord is getting ready to birth something. He's getting ready to do something. Who's heard of such a thing? And then that Roe v. Wade decision came through, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Maybe that's exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, wow, this is
well,
crazy.
and then paired with that, on the way there, we were getting 188 and 88, which we talked about in our last video, where God is decreeing, like, nothing is going to stop what I'm getting ready to do. And
almost like the nation of Egypt. It's like, I'm about to judge the nation of Egypt. Nothing's going to stop it.
Yeah.
Kind of that deal.
Yeah.
We were getting that a lot, too.
And so we ended up going, and what was really cool is put the check in the bank, and you got a vision as you're there about like X marks the spot. Well,
I pulled up to the bank, you know, because I'm concerned. I'm like, I hope they don't give me any issues over this check or something, because they probably don't know my face. I haven't been here in almost 5 years. And so I pull up to the parking lot. I haven't even really fully straightened out the car yet, and I see this great big red X over the bank, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I mean, I'm literally seeing it in the spirit, but I'm seeing, I was like, oh, well, this is the destination point. This is what you've come to do. And I'm like, this is awesome. And it's like, so it's kind of like another treasure hunt type thing, you know? And so I went in there, you know, I presented the check to them, and they were like, oh, okay. And then she had to grab the check and go to her manager, and I was like, oh no. I was like, maybe the red X meant it's like a red X and Price is Right. It's, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be trouble. There's going to be issues. And the Lord was like, no. It's like, that's not it, bro. That's not it. And everything just went smooth. And then we got out of there. And I was like, whoa, praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
Yeah. And so basically we just, you know, settled into the hotel that we were staying in there, and then we went to dinner and stuff like that, you know, just that normal stuff. But then the next morning, so we basically had just the one day that we were there, and man, the Lord sure packs a lot in one day when he wants to.
Was that Saturday?
No, that would have been Friday.
That was Friday.
It was Friday.
Right.
And so we had
that was the Roe v. Wade day, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And so we had our God time in the morning, and then I ended up getting all, we were getting ready to go, and then I checked my phone, and I had it on, I think, silent or something like that, because I didn't realize like an hour earlier, like during our God time, my mom had actually texted me, and it was a whole bunch of pictures, and I was just like, why am I getting pictures? Like, what is this about? And
you guys, this is crazy.
I open up my phone and I look, and there are 7 pictures, and they are all of flowers from her garden. Every single one of them. And it was crazy because in the vision that Devin had with me grabbing this bouquet, he was like, I'm pretty sure there are about, 5 or 7 flowers.
I couldn't tell.
And
I was leaning more toward the 7 because 5 seemed a little too small. I was like, it wasn't a big bunch.
And so then I get this text with 7 flowers, and I was just like,
well, it was 7 pictures of flowers.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay, Lord, what are you saying? Because I was still just like, I don't even know what you're talking about, like what this flower means.
But this is the deal. We were as blown away by that as we were as the Supercars thing.
Because I wasn't expecting it at all, and it was just
we were all freaking out, like, what in the world? This is crazy.
What's going on?
I was like, shake them, see what happens. Shake your phone, see if it See if they pop out of the screen or something. I don't know.
But it was just like, okay, all right, well, Lord, we're just...
We literally did. I mean, it was like, well, you need to shake it prophetically just to say, hey, I want to know what this means.
So, again, it was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to take this in and we're just going to keep going in with our day. And so we just went on. It was really fun. Actually, we ended up taking the kids to a lot of places where we used to go and just hang out. And we even went to this area where we used to just kind of dream with the Lord. Oh, yeah. And that was really awesome.
Land. We went to land.
Yeah.
Where we want to build a home, you know?
Yeah, because God
the home that we want does not exist.
Yeah.
We have to build it.
Yeah. And so
if we build it,
they will come.
You will come.
No, but it was really awesome just to kind of go back to where the Lord had us for so long.
Go back to our little flowering pot, our little planter.
Yeah, and
where the Lord scooped us up, you know.
And just be able to like show the kids again, and our two oldest, they actually remembered a lot of the places that we went to. Obviously, with Isaiah, he was a baby.
We got to show him where he was born.
Him where he was born.
Yeah.
And like, you were born right there. And and so it was just like, it was a really awesome opportunity to just kind of go and see. But it was so crazy because part of that was I was just sitting here realizing, wow, it's the month of June. I was like, do you realize, like, we literally moved to Kansas City area in 2013. I was like, this was exactly like 9 years ago. And what was so significant is because we basically lived there 4.5 years before we moved here to Nashville. And we, as of this month, have been here for 4.5 years. And so here we are just past the 4.5 year mark, and God sends us back to the place where I first received the vision of us as a little shoot.
Little tiny shoot.
And I'm just like, wow, Lord, I feel like all of this is just, you're just bringing us almost like, kind of like a full circle thing, or really declaring like an ending of a time and season of our life.
We'll talk about like the other 4.5, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and
it's crazy because it really is a triple.
It really is a triple because from the time that we got married to us moving to Kansas City was 4.5 years. Like, exactly.
And we lived there 4.5 years.
And we've been here now 4.5 years, and it was just like, wow, Lord,
like
this is crazy. Like, I don't even know exactly what you're doing with that. But
time to manifest the oh my Lord. That's what the 45 means in the Hebrew, right? Like, what? Well, the kids started crying, and I lost my train of thought. But we were talking about the 4.5 and how, oh, that's right, it is, because in the Hebrew, basically the 45 just means what? You know what I mean? It's like a, whoa, what? It's kind of like a who's heard of such a thing, you know what I mean? So it's almost like the Lord's with the triple 45s in our life up to this point. It's almost like the Lord's like, it's time to birth the what? Who's heard of such a thing? What? Sarah pregnant? What? No, she ain't. Something miraculous, something awesome, something cool to launch us into this next phase of our life, you know? So I thought that was super cool. A lot of cool stuff like that that was just popping during this road trip, you know?
Yeah. And so then basically, so we spent quite a bit of time just kind of going around doing that sort of thing. And then we actually got to meet up with someone.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really cool.
Okay, you're going to give some backstory on that one. Yeah.
Okay, so it was really cool because
she's got her backstory straight.
Yes. So basically, when I did a home birth with Isaiah, our last born. And so with it, we had a midwife, and we actually ended up having 3 midwives that came over and to help with the birth process and all of that. And so it was just like, with them, we had one who was older, one who was basically my same age, and then there was one who was a little bit younger, and she was actually pregnant, and so they all ended up coming over at different times, but basically then they were there for the birth. And so God has always he uses either people, or he's we see signs or prophetic signs throughout this whole journey. But basically, we really feel like God has strategically placed certain relationships in our life to represent different things. And we actually currently have 2 people that we really believe that God's like, hey, these 2 relationships are representing 2 of the midwives that were there to help you deliver. And
kind of like pillar relationships. That represent the newer kind of relationships we're going into, because for the past 4 years we've had just difficult relationships and just different kinds of relationships. They're just like not the best. The Lord showed me the 4 different relationships we would have. There was the demonic relationships, the ones that are just out to get you and attack you. And then there's the table relationships, meaning they're just coming to you like a restaurant and they're just feeding at your table, but that's it. That's all it's ever going to be, And then there were the marketplace relationships, meaning there are people you're just going to meet in the marketplace and you're just going to, talk with them and just, hey, yeah, but they're not necessarily going to be a part of your life. You know what I mean? But if you see them out in the marketplace, 4 or 5 times, they'd be, hey, what's up, man? Yeah. But they're not really a part of your life. You know what I mean? Not because there's something wrong with them or you or anything like that. It's just that's the way the Lord's ordained that relationship to be. But then there's the covenant relationships. And that's the ones that are just like you're tight and you're actually involved in each other's lives. It's more than just trading, revelation and spirit to spirit. There's actually, because in the marketplace you can have those, but in the marketplace you could even be talking to people who are unsaved. Marketplace relationships can have a wide variety of color, But basically during our wilderness time, we've been dealing with the demonic and the table. And I'm like, Lord, are there going to be any covenant or marketplace relationships going on? Anything like that anytime soon? Just wondering. We had one marketplace relationship or connection. Was that this year? At Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
That other missionary guy, I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
The Lord totally set that up. I could tell right away. I was like, oh, this is a setup. Even before we met, I was like, something's up with that guy.
Yeah.
It just felt like the Lord's, the light of the Lord was just following him everywhere he went. Yep. I'm like, oh, is this going to be an angelic visitation or something? Yeah. What is going on here? He's looking kind of old for an angel. No, I'm just kidding. Do angels look like that?
They can look all different ways.
It's true. And so we really felt like the most recent 2 that the Lord has connected us with and we've been talking with for quite a while now, several months now. It's just like those are like a sign and a symbol of the covenant kind of relationships, the koinonia fellowship we used to call it back in the day. This just where you're just really, your hearts are just seeking the Lord, and that's really all you care about. And of course you're living life, but you're involved in each other's lives to some degree. But then they also kind of represented the midwives, of the home birth. And we felt like, well, Lord, there was a 3rd one there. Like where's the 3rd one? We knew there was a 3rd prophetic relationship that's just like, no, like there's got to be a 3rd one. We didn't know. Yeah. Until that day.
Until Friday. And so we went out and it ended up being where we met. It was in the same direction that we would drive all the time to actually go to the midwives.
Yeah.
And like on the way there, I was just like kind of just chatting about it because I was like, oh, remember we used to drive this way all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was further out, but but it was just really awesome to be able to go and meet her and just talk, and she was sharing what's going on in her life, and we just knew like, wow, this is a relationship that God, you know, he's brought this together.
Yeah. Well, because she had contacted us and said, you guys are going to be in Kansas City, we have to meet. And then, you know, she's been following us for a while, and she's been supporting us every time she can when we need it. And I was just like, okay, that would be super great. Let's meet up. And then I was just like, and of course, you know, your heart and your mind is referencing your past 4.5 years. I'm going, oh God. I was like, please don't let this be weird. And it wasn't. It was, the Lord's like, you're in a different place right now, buddy. Don't do that, you know? And so that became like another treasure to find right there, you know?
Yeah, and so basically, like when we left, it was just like, wait a minute, I think this is the third person. And so, and God just continued he just really confirmed it, and it was just like, yes, this is the third person that's going to be a part of what he's doing in representing the midwives.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool because the third midwife was the youngest. And she was just ready to bust.
Yeah,
she was ready to go. I'm like, are you sure you should be here?
Yeah.
you might need to go back home and rest or something, because you about ready to go. You know, she's about like 38 weeks or something like that.
She was so pretty far along herself.
And she was younger, and she was just kind of in training. And so to meet this new person, it was like you could tell she was in that same place, but prophetically, she's already making plans to. I mean, there were just so many different things going on in her life that's like, wow, God is ready to birth this in her life, like right now. And I'm just like, and we didn't even realize any of this stuff till later. She's pulling out the driveway, and I'm just like, wait a minute. And then we started talking about all this stuff we're sharing right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that could be so the Lord. This was so awesome. And so that was just another super cool aspect of our trip.
Amazing treasure. And so then, you know, we ended up, you know, coming back to the hotel, and we were that night for our God time. We actually ended up shifting into talking about the Roe versus Wade and how it was overturned. And man, it was just like God reminded me of a word he gave me back in November. And it was a word over the nation, and we read it, and it was just really this prophetic night of prayer over the nation. And I really felt there was this sense of birthing, and like, should a nation be born in a day, where God was just speaking like a rebirth.
Isaiah 66:8.
Yeah. And it was like a rebirth of the nation. And and our oldest, he was talking about, he noticed that there were like 13 states that were basically going to be banning abortion. And he was like, that reminds me of like the 13 original colonies. And like, that was like, you know, the 13, that's what this nation was founded upon. New nation, and so we ended up praying over just the nation, and I really felt like
13, a number of rebellion, and they left in rebellion of England. You know, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To establish a new government, you know, one nation under God, you know.
Yeah. And so we ended up talking about all of that, and then as I was reading this word that the Lord had given me over the nation, it really reminded me a lot of Luke chapter 1, after John was born, and Zechariah just Spirit of God fills him, and he starts just declaring who he is and what he's going to do. And that's really what the word was. It was just like, this is who you are as a nation. This is what I've called you to be and what I want you to do. And so it was just...
That would include Luke 177, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And and so it was just
prophetic
this
number there.
It just ended up being this really amazing night, and then we just found it to be so interesting too, because we were in Kansas City, and basically the state of Missouri ended up being the very first state to enact that day a ban on abortions. And we're like, wow, like here we are on this really historic day in the very state, the very first state that is, banning abortion. And it was just like, wow.
Like, we're here right now in this
Lord, this
geographical location.
Yeah, it just is like, wow, this is like very significant. And so we just ended up praying over the whole nation, and it was just this, I loved it. It was a really awesome night. And then, like I said, there was just so much, there was so much packed into it. And then that was pretty much that night. And then the next morning we had to pack everything up and, started heading back. It was interesting because, we had, even coming back, we started seeing just different numbers that were highlighted on the way back. And
77, 777, 177, 777, 777, 777. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, wow.
And like, we haven't even really gotten to totally
we harvested a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we're still. Yeah, I think that's a great example, because
it's in the barn right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's still yet to be sorted and really just diving into it.
Yeah,
but
there's so much.
But it was really cool touching on also like the treasure hunting, because the kids were just like, okay, well, what's my treasure? And and it was really awesome because God was just showing, like, for our daughter, he was just like, the whole trip is your treasure. She just loves getting out and
every aspect of it was her
everything.
treasure.
She was like, I love this,
Like, I'm loving it. Being out, adventuring, going. That's her treasure.
Yeah. And then it was just, and so for her, it was just like, oh, okay, that's your treasure. And then our third, he was praying and asking God, because basically
he was actually kind of mad.
Well, yeah, he was
kind of getting mad,
because on Saturday, once we got to the hotel, it was kind of getting late. It was somewhat of a longer leg of the trip, but we were doing God time at night, and he was just
we were all tired.
Yeah, we all were tired, pretty tired. And he was just like, I was just praying and asking the Lord, like, oh, where's my treasure? Like, I want to find something. And he just felt like the Lord was telling him, like, you do have a treasure. You just, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay. And so, on Sunday we finished driving the rest of the way here, and really,
it was a good time. It was actually, it seemed like coming back was a lot shorter.
It did overall.
Going there, it was really good.
Yeah. And we had a lot of just good worship on the way back.
Yeah.
That was kind of
no
cool.
blow-ups, no issues.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was just a really good, fun time.
Yeah. A lot of worship on the way back, which I did notice that, because we figured out how to work work
the was it Android Auto or something like that?
Put it on the phone or something.
Yeah.
You can listen to music.
I was like, this is what that means.
Yeah.
Okay. It just links to your phone, and your phone can play through the.
We're high tech savvy people.
Oh yeah, can't you tell?
But and then but so we got here on Sunday, and our third born, he was actually really upset and just discouraged because he was just like, I didn't find my treasure, and like the Lord said I had treasure. And when we talked about it, and I was telling him, just pray, seek the Lord, keep asking him, and and then
it's like the road trip is not representative of this walk across the beach.
No.
It's just this walk across the beach. That's just the season of our life. This road trip's just a part of that.
Yeah. It really is.
It's like, so the Lord still has treasure for you,
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, this is not the end.
Yeah.
And, but then that was last night, right?
That was last night.
Yeah, and so, it was so amazing because we came back. So
again, we're creeping into
this
scene
week,
12.
But it's that fullness of the road trip kind of aspect. But so then last night for our God time, it was so good. It's just like, as far as just the soaking with the Lord and just the worship time was amazing.
Yeah.
But then the Lord just comes, and it was so cool because our oldest, it was just like, hey, you were just like, hey buddy, I really feel like the Lord just wants you to, get up, start praying. And so he started praying, he jumped in.
Yeah.
And then he was just hit with this just prayer, because sometimes when he gets going in prayer,
my gosh,
he takes off.
He's like the Human Torch.
and he was just like on fire.
Yeah.
But then it was just so amazing because then the Lord just gave me a word for him, 3 different scriptures to speak over him, and it was just a restoration time.
Yeah.
Because he's had a lot of difficulty, especially for probably about the last year and a half of just like.
And the Lord touched his mouth twice.
Mm-hmm. And it was just like,
wow.
Here, buddy, I am restoring this relationship, and it was just so awesome because for him, he was like, right before Devin had asked, said, hey, you want to get up, he had been praying, and he was just asking the Lord about his treasure. Like, does he have a treasure? I didn't really
feel like I had any. Yeah.
And then he engaged, and then the Lord just like met him, and for him,
really met him.
He was just like, wow, this is my treasure.
Yeah.
And it was just this really awesome moment for him.
Because for him, relationship with the Lord really is his treasure. Mm-hmm. He can't, if he doesn't feel like he has a good relationship with the Lord, nothing else matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it was just so awesome for him to experience that. And but then it was like, even last night I was feeling for our third born. It was just like, God's like, oh, don't worry, like he has treasure, and it's not going to be missed, because I think that's his greatest concern is like,
maybe I'll miss it.
Maybe I'll miss it. I won't find it.
It's so small, I might just overlook it.
Like, nope. And but then it was really cool too, because like I said, we're still praying a lot about the vision that Devin had gotten. But one of the things that we were getting today was just about basically like things are being revealed. Now the supercars, it really has to, actually even the flowers, as we've been praying about it, we're realizing that God's like, these have to do with vision and with what I've spoken over your life.
Yeah.
And but it's like, God's like, I'm revealing these things because the sand has represented this, like the sands of time. Mm-hmm. And these treasures have been buried in time.
Yeah.
But now it's time for them to be revealed, and therefore the sand is falling off of them.
It's like destroying the bench of waiting.
Yeah.
Caused the sands of time to start revealing the things that were hidden in it.
Exactly. And it's really these visions and who God has spoken, who he says we are. And so for me, I've this morning I actually spent quite a bit of time, still have more time to spend, but just seeking the Lord in regards to the flowers that I was holding in my hand. I know that they have to do with specific things that God has spoken over me, and I know when I received them, I really was just kind of like, oh, like that's what I get.
Each one.
That's me. Well, like like one of them is an example as administrator, and it was always just like I had so many negative thoughts for myself about like what that means, what that looks like.
Or working with kids.
Yeah, or like teacher and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it was just like...
But God has a restorative plan for that to bring it to a place of life.
Yeah. And so it was really cool for me because even this, I think it was this morning or last night. It might have actually been last night. It was last night, I think, during worship, there was just this sense of like, it could have been this morning. Like I said, time when you're going, it can get all mushed together. But I just had this moment where I was just praying, and it was just like, I know it was last night because it was just like, all right, Lord, like, I just want to receive what you have for me. And I just felt like the flowers for a moment just turned into jewels in my hand. And I felt like God was just saying, like, now you're seeing them as jewels, and like for what they really are. They're precious to your heart. Your
callings, like who I call you to be.
And that's really what all of the flowers represent. He's like, no, this is who you are. And I know for a fact, personally, like my heart has always had a struggle with like God being like, hey, this is who you are, and just like wrestling with it and wondering if it's true, and I don't know, and kind of receiving it with that sense of kind of just disappointment because I don't see it, I didn't, and those kinds of things. But to now it's just like, no, I see this as good. And I think there honestly is just more revelation to be had in regards to all of that. But but even the vehicle that really represents the vision that God has given.
The supervision.
Yeah, it really is a supervision as far as just like how big the magnitude of what God is saying, like, I'm calling you into this is what I have for you. And so I loved it tonight, like when we were talking about though that the sands of time, it's like it's been buried underneath there, and now God is like, hey, I destroyed this waiting. I destroyed all of that. So now things are being revealed, and they really are coming up and out. And
well, did you want to talk about what you saw in the same time, or?
I can, And one of the things that I saw actually the same day that Devin had the vision of the two of us was later on. I ended during prayer time. I was just seeing this basically like an ancient ruins like temple that was starting to come up out of the sands, and specifically I saw a pillar that was coming up out of the sands, which was interesting because I also saw our oldest right next to the pillar, and I really feel like that's what came out on Sunday is like and God has referred to him as a pillar in the house of the Lord. And so it was just like, wow, like here's this pillar coming up out of the sand. And
But then ultimately, it was like this whole building.
Yeah, it was
whole
this
temple
whole
was coming
temple.
up
Yeah.
Out of the sand. And I was like, whoa.
It was like, where did this come from?
I was like, this is our house.
Yeah.
This is the house of the Lord.
Yeah.
That we're going to be placed in, you know?
And so, again, there's just obviously more to all of those visions, and we're continuing to pray for more revelation. But, so.
But yeah, that was cool.
Very cool.
So there's a lot there. Can you tell? There's a ton there. And our road trip was super cool. But then even after getting back, it's like God's continuing to... I mean, he's continuing. It's not like we've come back and the Lord's like, all right, you settle down now. We're going to be here. Well, no, there's still a sense of stay ready.
Yeah.
There's stay ready. You know, it's just like, oh, okay. We're going to just stay ready. You know, we're just seeking the Lord every day. That's what we do. And it's just like, okay, Lord, what's going on today? You know, and even today the Lord was talking about crowns and glory and the blood and his mercy and righteousness, and, you know, being sealed with righteousness. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. We're getting a lot of stuff. I feel like we're in a harvest time. I do. I feel like we're in a harvest time because we are gathering so much stuff from the heart of God. It's like we don't even have time to it's like when you're in harvest, you just grab it and you gather it and you put it away.
Yeah.
You grab it, you gather it, you put it away. Seriously, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're grabbing and gathering and putting away. And but Lord, I want to settle in on that. I want to, no, not right now. Just grab it. You see it? Okay, come on, let's grab it and put it away.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that. And it's almost like, wow, this is gonna. Are you giving us the storehouse right now of our next, curriculum of revelation? Even though the garden, the tour of the garden, the creation story, that's kind of like our curriculum. But it's like, are you just giving us more of that, more details of, you know, just about the Lord wanting us to be happy, stuff about the house of the Lord, stuff about just revelation, insight, prophecy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just connecting with people, just big vision and holding on to it and pursuing it. Just so much stuff that's been going on lately. It's just like, wow, the Lord's just doing some amazing things. And, you know, we could be in that Amos 9:13 through 15 time, at least prophetically speaking. But it's like, the cool thing about the doc series visions, which I like to repeat, is like they're usually visions that you see them and then they happen.
Yeah.
You see them and then they happen. You know, and what's cool about the flowers and the supercars thing is it's continuing to, God's just continuing to show us more stuff about it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
and more
amazing.
revelation, and just like, you know, what his heart is. And
part of the vision that I had, this guy came into my life and he was like, when you get settled into your home, this is yours. And it was like a key to this supercar that he owned. And he was like, this is yours. And he was like, here, I want you to go test drive it first, though. And then everyone's freaking out. Oh, yeah. And the guy was just like, no. This is between your dad and the Lord. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I would love to see that happen tomorrow. But the cool part is, and you never, for me personally, I don't often think about it this way, but it's like the guy in the vision, he knew everything that was going to happen. It's almost like he was watching a prophetic word and a vision that God gave him come to pass as he's giving me these keys, and I'm going off and I'm doing my test drive of his supercar. It's his car, but he's just watching it all, and he's just going, wow. So he's wowed by the fact that this vision is actually coming to pass that the Lord showed him.
Yeah.
But we're a part of it. And it's like, I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That was actually a different part of the vision I got about us going through the beach and stuff like that, and treasure hunting.
Yeah.
So lots of cool stuff has happened. Kind of a golden corral of of stuff to be served there in this and it's funny because this morning, because we're doing Act 3 Scene 11, right? And this morning, that's kind of what I woke up with. The Lord was like, I was like, well, Lord, here I am. What do you got for me? And before I could even finish, he was like, Devin, I want you to hold on to this vision. This vision that I've given you. I want you to hold on to it, believe for it. And I was like, well, Lord, and he's been telling me that for how long? 4.5 years. And because there's just a part of me, I was like, Lord, I'm going to do the best I can. But you can clearly see there's a part of me that just tends to doubt if it's real or there's just a part of me. I don't like to have that part, but I have to acknowledge that is there. And the Lord's like, exactly, I know. And that's how you can know it's not me, It's like, if it's doubt, it's not me. So all the more reason that you should hold fast to the truth of this is from God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow. That's a weird angle to come at it. But yeah, I see what you're saying there,
Yeah, so that was basically the road trip extravaganza that we had over the last few days, and but we do pray that you guys were blessed by just what God shared today, and we will try and get a little montage, is that what it's called, of the road trip maybe later on this week, because it takes a bit to edit and put all those videos together, but we just wanted to kind of be able to at least share and talk about what God did over this last week, but look forward to that hopefully maybe later on this week.
Well, can I say something about the midwives also? I really want to just make the point that I really felt like the reason the Lord's given us these three, because it's like Isaiah represents the home birth, and he was a home birth, and we're trying to birth a home, something our families never had, and it's a specific home with a specific address. That might be weird for some of you guys, or for some people to hear that, but it is specific, and he is a sign of the promise fulfilled, right? And there were 3 midwives present when this was taking place, when the birth was taking place. And so we feel like these 3 people are going to be in our lives, involved while it's taking place. I don't know if we covered that aspect, that summation, but I just wanted to say it again just to kind of get it across.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, and, personally, I'm just interested in seeing, how the Lord is going to bring all of that together, because we have seen the Lord very clearly with other relationships in our life, how he just brings them in and out at certain points, and it's very, with the Lord, as always, it's very strategic. It has, the times that he brings in certain people, it's just wow, okay, Lord, we're paying attention. So we should, I'm actually really excited to see how God continues in those relationships and what he does there.
Because we love all of them. We just love them.
So anyway, but so hopefully be looking forward to maybe a little road trip
montage. Could be a midweek video,
snack video, and we just pray that you guys are blessed, and until next time, we will see you guys later.
Love you guys.
Bye.